Simon Jones here from HitFilm.com with a few tips and tricks for creating cool Superman-style flying shots. The great thing about creating shots like this is that anybody can do it relatively quickly and easily without needing any special equipment other than a green screen. Here's what we started with. Shooting a green screen flying shot is actually hugely simple. All you need is a green screen, a small platform like a stool or a backless swivel chair, maybe a small table, and an actor with strong stomach muscles. For this particular shot, we attempted to do a 3D move with the camera, which is fine in theory, but we didn't position our tracking markers properly, which makes it hugely difficult for 3D camera tracking software to solve the camera movement. To resolve this, I instead did a simple 2D track in HitFilm Ultimate. It's worth noting that this was only necessary due to the way we shot the video. You can still do great flying visual effects shots in HitFilm Standard. After adding a 2-point tracker, I selected and tracked these two tracking markers. This gives us the position, scale, and rotation of the background. This tracking data I then applied to a simple point layer, making sure to tick the rotation and scale options. The background sky image was then parented to this point, which keeps it moving according to the camera's motion. Even as the camera pushes in on the actor, the background scales up appropriately. This is the big benefit of having tracking in HitFilm Ultimate. It gets your camera off the tripod and lets you move it around more. Next up was keying the actor to get rid of the green screen. I started off with the good old colour difference key, which does a pretty good job right off the bat. A matte cleaner was then used to tidy up some of the edges, and spill removal took out the reflected green light. These three effects are the ones that you'll always come back to when you're working with green screen footage. The light wrap effect is really important in this shot. By setting the source to the sky background, it lets the bright background bleed around the foreground more realistically. I tend to switch the blend mode to lighten when using light wrap, as I prefer the look. Colour correction wheels were used to match the actor more to the scene, giving him a slightly bluer hue. A few rough masks were then used to tidy up the remaining edges of the green screen and to remove the tracking markers. Whether you move your camera around when filming the green screen element or not, don't forget that you can always enhance the movement in HitFilm. In this shot, I took the layer and shrunk it down, so that the actor starts smaller in the frame and appears to then fly closer to the camera. This really frees you up. You can have your superhero zoom up from the far distance, do a barrel roll in the air, and all sorts of other tricks, without needing to set up complicated rigs while filming. With the main comp finished, it's time to throw on some extra details to make sure the shot really sells. In the sky photo, you can see the sun to the right here. It looks cool, but the problem is that because it's part of the flat background image, the rays from the natural light flare go behind the actor, instantly giving away that he's a composited element. I suppose a man flying unaided in low orbit is always going to be obviously a composited element, but you know what I mean. To fix this, I added on my own flare in the same position as the sun in the original photograph. First, I created a new plane and made sure it was a bit bigger than the frame. This would then act as a host layer for the light flare effect. I parented the plane to the background photo so that it inherited the same movement, and then onto the plane I added the light flare effect. The hotspot of the light flare I moved onto the sun position. Due to the plane being parented to the background, the hotspot now stays in position, but the flare elements aren't animating correctly because the light flare's pivot point is moving at the same time as the plane. To fix this, I created a new point layer, which I simply left in the centre of the frame, and parented the pivot position to that. That way, as the plane moves around and moves the light flare, the pivot point always remains in the centre of the frame, creating realistic movement in the flare elements. You can see that the light flare really helps to bring the actor into the scene. To enhance this even further, I then added a grade layer and applied a light rays effect. Set up carefully, this creates the impression of volumetric light rays from the sun obscured by the actor's movement. If I increase the intensity temporarily, you can see more clearly what's going on, with the light streaming around the edges of the actor. Reduced to something far more subtle, you still see some of the light rays interacting with the actor's movements. This kind of thing really helps to make the visual effect look more natural, as if it was something you actually filmed with a real camera. Another set of colour wheels was used to grade the whole thing, but there was still something missing. The final step was to take the simple fluffy cloud effect and apply it a couple of times, once behind the actor and once in front. Animated from left to right, these particle systems really help to create a sense of movement and make the shot far more interesting. If you've got HitFilm Ultimate, you could of course create your own particle simulation from scratch, but in this case, using these presets works just fine. If you happen to watch this video during May 2012, you can enter our superhero competition to win HitFilm Ultimate Studio, worth over $600. Follow the link on screen or check out the HitFilm.com blog for more info. We've got more videos and tutorials coming soon, so make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss anything. Thanks for watching.